We're going to be making the strawberry pie with Teeny with fresh basil, so I just pulled some from the garden. Smell that.
Oh.
Isn't that wonderful?
Now wash your hands. Did you cut your thumb?
I did.
What is
I got a boo-boo on my thumb. Yeah.
Just now?
No, not just now. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So I wanted you to have fresh basil for your pie.
Oh,
I'm gonna rinse it off.
Okay. Great.
All right. So. Okay, here we go. All right, so Teeny Lamothe has traveled the U.S. learning how to make the ultimate pies, and today she's here to share her recipe with strawberry basil pie. Now, I understand that you wanted to become a chef. You love baking,
yes.
but you didn't want to go through the whole ritual of going through a culinary school because you thought it would be like a waste of money since you love baking.
Yeah, I love baking pie specifically, and I knew that going to a culinary program wasn't necessarily going to give me the pie education that I was looking for.
Right.
So I decided to create my own tour of pie.
Yes, please.
You did a tour of pie. You took the money you saved from going to culinary school, and you traveled the United States.
Traveled the United States, finding different pie shops all over the United States that would host me as an apprentice.
So you staged in the bakery shop? That's so great. Okay.
Yeah.
So
can you explain what that is, by the way, for people who don't know what stage?
Sure. Staging is, in my terms, apprenticing. So I would go and I would offer my services to learn everything there was about pie baking in bulk and as well as small business. So I wanted to eventually open my own pie shop.
And they pay nothing, by the way.
They pay $0
when you do that.
Okay.
All right. So you're going to give us a few tricks on how to make the perfect crust. Now, I just have to point out the little pie over here. I keep waiting for like little blackbirds to fly out. Doesn't it look like it on that nursery rhyme?
They're little teeny pies.
Yeah. So give us some hints on how to make the perfect pie crust.
Sure. Well, I think first of all, you just have to do it as much as possible. You know, I think crust is very intimidating to some people. So as long as you keep trying and try again, eventually you'll understand what it feels like, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to mix all of my dries first. I like to use whole wheat flour because it adds a little nuttiness to the crust, and I like that. It is healthier. I use a mixture of butter and shortening. Shortening is for the flakiness, and butter is for the taste of butter.
How important is it to keep your butter little chunks really, really cold?
I think it's super important because that's where the layers of flakiness come in. So when you've mixed it all in, those little balls of shortening and butter that are in between the layers of flour that's what's gonna create the flakiness of the crust.
Now, is this shortening, vegetable shortening?
Yep, this is shortening. This is for the flakiness.
I have a question because you talked about mixing your dry stuff first and then you put in your other. Would you mix the butter and the shortening together, or do it, do that and then put it in, or is it?
No,
you're doing it that way.
I do it this way. Yeah,
Okay.
I do everything all at once with as far as the fats go. So you're going to break this up into little small pea-sized pieces and make sure everything's coated in flour.
Okay.
And another thing that I like to use, not only do I use ice water, but I use vodka.
Yes.
In my crust.
Now, vodka is the secret ingredient. And why do you use vodka?
Not a secret anymore. Not at all. And it's all out in the open.
This is a great tip because a lot of people don't know that if you use vodka, what happens?
It makes it more pliable when you're rolling it out, and it also evaporates faster than water, so it makes for a flakier crust.
Flaky. The flakiest crust, because when I make pie crust without it, it's not as flaky.
Especially with the whole wheat flour.
Or tender.
And you can sip it when you're rolling out to steal your nerves for the rolling out process.
No.
So
okay, so after they're pea-sized.
After they're pea-sized, you're gonna add the.
So we're gonna go ahead and roll this one out.
Sure.
Yeah, I always have trouble, Teeny, when I'm rolling it out because it always gets stuck to the board. Do you have any tips on to try to? Besides putting lots of flour.
I do. Well, the thing is, so this is a fairly wet dough. The recipe in the book, Teeny's Tour of Pie, is a fairly wet dough. So, and I make sure that that's the moisture is there so that you can roll out with enough flour.
Well, can I ask you, after you roll it, you have your pie crust ready, do you wrap it and put it in the refrigerator to get it cold?
I do.
For how long?
I'd say at least an hour, but
Okay.
I like to prep all my crust the night before, actually,
okay.
because it gives it enough time for the gluten to relax. Everything's going to bind together and become much more pliable. See how? I mean,
it just lifts right up. On mine sticks. I have to use a spatula to get the flour.
And eventually, you won't roll crust amoebas. It took me a long time.
Crust amoebas?
To roll a circle.
Oh,
as
I see.
to an amoeba.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
how perfect that is.
You want a circle.
Look how perfect that is. Like this, it's not even through the magic of television. It's happening right here.
My favorite pie to eat is sour cherry.
Oh, I love that.
There's also a bunch of savory pies in the book, including Thanksgiving dinner pie, which is my favorite savory. Yeah, exactly.
So now we have the strawberries. We have fresh organic strawberries, and we're going to put, what are we going to put in here?
This is going to be a mixture of sugar. I don't like to use a ton of sugar because I like how berries taste.
Yes.
So I don't want to smother them with sugar. And I'm also going to use tapioca. This is quick cooking tapioca.
And why do you use the tapioca?
So there's a ton of water in strawberries, and so rather than ending up with pie soup, tapioca just does a really nice job of absorbing all that extra.
Yeah, the licks.
That liquid.
All right, and now basil. Okay, we have our basil. Oh, that looks
really
beautiful.
like the taste of the basil in it.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to
good.
taste it.
It's fresh without being overwhelming.
I wouldn't
All right,
have
so
put
we're
the
gonna
two
put it in our
together, would you?
pie.
I would have never thought about putting basil in with the. I said to Teeny before we started, I said, this has to be good because I'm going to compare it to my mom's, and she said, you can't do that.
You can't compare mom pies.
And then you're going to roll, yes, that's right.
Exactly.
So then you roll the edges. Yeah.
So those crusts, we're going to put a top crust on this one.
Ah, okay.
Look.
Beautiful.
And this, you're just going to crimp these two. You're going to fold all this excess dough over
Right?
in order to make your crimp.
Look at that. So quick. I love that.
Good.
So you're going to put it in the oven at what temperature?
This is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 to 55 minutes.
Okay. Do you put a little hole in it to let the steam out?
Yeah, let's add a little steam vent.
Okay. All right. So we're going to put it in the oven. It is
Bring it out.
done. Oh,
Oh, that's good.
Take a seat in there.
it smells wonderful.
Very good.
We baked this before, hence I can handle it right out of the oven. So how long do you have to let this cool before you can bite into it? Because it is a fruit pie.
Yeah, I'd say let it rest for about 20 minutes. You don't want pie soup on your plate, and fruit pies, especially the juicy strawberry ones, are gonna goosh all over if you cut it
Goosh.